5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Nice looking Thursday morning. I hope you're doing well. I am surrounded by beautiful women. Robin is one of them. Where are you, Robin? And they have a beautiful mission that they're on, and they are on a mission to help make people healthy. And one of them is near and dear to me because my mom had breast cancer, survived the removal of a breast, a mastectomy, and lived for it like 20-something years before she passed away finally. And so I know that the folks over at the oncology and all those doctors and nurses and everybody, they were responsible for that. In the studio, let me just introduce everybody one at a time. Brittany Marthaler, am I saying your last name right, Brittany? I guess I never knew your last name. Brittany is the communications manager of Ocala Health. And way down there at the end, if you're looking on the video, you see her really tiny back there. Haley Creasy. You're Haley, right? Haley is oncology and general surgery service line director. And Phyllis Albertson is a nurse with Oncology Navigator. An Oncology Navigator. We'll find out what that is for Ocala Regional and West Marion. And Suzanne Santangelo. I'll get it right. Director of Marketing. And we're going to talk about oncology. And the Oncology Center of Ocala was started in 1983? Is that what you said?
That's correct.
And where is that? Where is the actual building we're referring to?
At Ocala Regional Medical Center, patients can access at either hospitals, be it the actual infusion center, the outpatient infusion center, in the inpatient unit, or at the Ocala Regional Campus.
Oh, okay. I'm probably not alone in this, but the word oncology probably doesn't enter anybody's vocabulary unless they know somebody with cancer. Does that sound right? Yeah.
That's true.
So ology is the study of onc. What is onc?
Cancer.
Onc is cancer? Is that an abbreviation from like Latin or something?
I think so.
You think so? Okay. Not to throw you a curve. I'm just a word guy. I'm always curious about words.
He is.
So today we're going to have a discussion here about cancer and cancer care in our community. And as I implied earlier, my mom benefited from some of that care. So thank you for what you do. And I believe are we mentioning Strive Rehab? Is it part of this interview? No. My notes say something about Strive. That's why I'm asking. Yes? Mm-hmm. Yes? No? I'm trying to read faces now. Yeah, okay.
I don't know if Strive is on the oncology unit, are they?
They're a part of our cancer continuum of care and our multidisciplinary team. That is correct.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, for coming in here today. And I guess, Phyllis, we'll start with you. As a nurse, a patient navigator, what do you do?
Part of my job, a navigator does is identifies those cancer patients that need appropriate resources. I try to meet their needs physically, emotionally, and practically. So when they get a brand new diagnosis, I introduce myself, I walk them through the process of all the testing, of what the diagnosis means, what the chemotherapy means, and their follow-up care. So I sort of follow them from A through Z through the whole process.
Wow. What's the hardest part? Physically, emotionally, and practically?
Hardest part's emotional.
I was going to say it. I was just going to take a guess at that.
Right.
So
although practical needs play a big part in that with the economy the way it is and the finances or lack of finances, so there's a lot of social
that's part
issues.
Of it, the money.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Will that change with the new health care program we're hearing?
Everything's going to change with the new health care program.
I'm not to be political, but for the better?
I hope so.
Optimistic would be for the better?
Yeah,
okay.
Yes.
When you work with the patients, do you also work with the families as well?
Oh,
providing
absolutely.
all that support?
Sometimes it's harder on the caregivers than it is on the actual patient. The actual patient can deal with, matter-of-fact, day-to-day things, but the caregiver really has to take care of that patient in all aspects of their care.
Oh, okay.
When you are dealing with the emotional part of it, that's almost like psychological training. Is that was that for you personally? Was that on-the-job training, or did you have to study psychology?
No, it's on-the-job training.
You just get to learn people, huh?
Well, you do, and when you start out, I've done cancer nursing for 23 years, and I started at bedside nursing, so you learn it right from the bedside.
Yeah.
And that's just from the get-go on any aspect of their care. There's always an emotional process. They go through all the stages of grieving when they get a diagnosis, and we do have social workers on board to assist when it gets further in depth.
And I'm guessing there's a lot of repeating that you must do. It goes in one ear and out the other, and then you have to say it again, right?
Exactly.
Because that would be me. I would be asking again. What What was it again? And just to
And
understand
they do.
it.
And I can do an education process with somebody 45 minutes or 1 hour. I kind of know how to feel them out and know what they need or how much they
Right.
can get, but you do have to go in repeatedly.
Haley, I'll address a question to you. Do you, I have a friend on Facebook, and a guy, and his wife has, I guess they were not able to get the cancer with chemo, so now they're doing radiation, like pinpointing radiation, and he's counting counting the treatments down. Like he said 10 down, 25 to go, or something like that. What happens after you're done? After the 35 or whatever the number is? Is it always 33 or 35?
It really depends,
It
on their
depends?
cancer and their type of treatment that's outlined by the physicians and typically a multidisciplinary team. So it would really go back to that physician having that discussion with the patient and finding that next continuum of care for them.
So in counting it down, gosh, I watch those posts on Facebook and I keep thinking, I sure hope when it gets to 0 that it's gone. That's got to be part of that whole emotional thing you were talking about. Is there a way to tell that it's working at the 10 point or at the 15 point?
Not necessarily. The same thing as with chemotherapy, because one of the hardest questions that I get from patients after they get one cycle of chemotherapy is, well, did it work?
Yeah, right.
But it takes time for these therapies, whether it's chemotherapy, radiation, or any modality that you're choosing,
Right.
to get into the body and work. So you have to wait a space of time. Usually with chemo, it's at least 2 cycles or 2 months. It can be 4 cycles. It can be 6. And radiation's the same way. You have to finish, then you have to usually wait a 2-week period after that to maybe rescan to see what that treatment modality did.
And does it often, are we doing it better now than we once were? In other words, 10 years ago, would the same treatment have not been as successful as it is today?
Much better. If you look at radiation therapy, we used to radiate people that get lung cancer, and you would do like the whole chest wall. So then you come into more damage with tissues. Everything today is turning toward more of a targeted therapy. So chemo is more targeted to you genetically.
Right.
Radiation therapy is more targeted to just the area that they need to do. So
Wow.
much more refined.
Brittany, you're the communications manager. So are you involved, like with what we're doing today, getting the word out to the general public?
Absolutely. Community education events, whether it be health fairs, community seminars, getting the information out that these wonderful folks do every day.
Wow. And is it? Are you also in a position where people are constantly asking questions?
They do, but I'm usually with someone
With
on
somebody.
the clinical side that I can direct them to the right person.
And do you go speak in front of different clubs and organizations to get the word out? Is that part of what you do?
I don't directly speak there. We have physicians, surgeons, nurses, ARMPs that will go out and speak.
The Oncology Center started in 1983, as you mentioned, and I noticed that the word accredited is associated with it. What does that actually mean?
Yes, we're very excited. ORMC is really celebrating its 30th year as an accredited cancer center. Marion County is the only one. And what that means to patients in the community is that we're really held to the highest level of care for their standards. We're also monitored by the American College of Surgeons. So it's really putting all the disciplines and the details together and packaging them and giving the sum of the best practices for patients and their centered care.
We get some pretty good marks in Ocala, don't we?
Absolutely.
I mean, we've got some. How did this happen? We just lucked out, got good doctors?
We have an excellent team. It really comes back to that whole multidisciplinary team approach. And
Right,
what that
right.
means to a patient, again, back to that community, is when we look at it, those are folks that have the expertise that can come and bring that patient to the best outcome possible. So they're coming together as a group, as a whole, and we really put that patient in the center and put the navigator, the medical oncologist, the radiation team together, and then also all the supportive personnel. The quicker we can get them access to those services, the better.
So do you find that the team that you're on is embraced by the patient? I mean, do they get it right away, or does it take time? Does it become like a second family for them?
It takes time, and there's a lot of education that has to go into it. Again, it comes back to making sure that patients understand they're not in this fight alone. And with Ocala Regional and West Marion, making sure that they understand all the pieces of the puzzle. We don't want them to feel like that burden is theirs. We want to make sure that they understand that they can connect with us as a
Right, right.
resource, whether it's their financial needs, it's
Right.
what do I do next? that diagnosis is such a burden on not only the patient but also the family. So making sure that we're giving them that quick transition and care and the access to the quality, that's really key for us. And I can tell you, Ocala Regional and West Marion have come together in specifically for our cancer patients. We've created a cancer ID card. So when patients present, yes, absolutely. It's really been a good tool for patients and physicians to, and also our emergency departments with that short ER wait time, they can present and be readily identified, so we can kind of give them that VIP or expedite them either through the care to our oncology designated unit or up to their next level of care. So it's a great tool for us and for the community.
I just bragged with what little I know about how well we do, only because as a news guy, I get these reports, that we're doing well in a couple of different areas in Ocala, healthcare being one of them. But nevertheless, you still have some people who will move into an area, and the grass is always greener no matter where they move. They move to who knows where, and the next big town down the road is, in their mind, going to be the better place to go. Is that something that you have to fight? Is it something you have to educate them on? You don't have to be driving 80 miles every day. I have a nephew who went down, where did he go, Robin? In Tampa somewhere.
Yeah,
for his cancer treatments.
Oh yeah, he went to
You go to Moffitt?
Moffitt.
Thank you. Yeah. So I mean, do we still need to do that, or are we equipped now to handle those things in Ocala?
There are many different avenues for patients to find resources, but again, it comes back to we don't want that patient to have that burden. That diagnosis is enough, and it's very easy for folks to use marketing dollars to really get that name recognition of we're the best center in town. But what it comes back to is those quality initiatives and what's happening inside, and connecting all those spokes on that wheel for a patient's continuum of care. We have fantastic physicians, fantastic pathologists who are really helping us give those diagnostics pieces and giving them that data that yes, it is a positive cancer and what type of cancer, so that way we can follow them through that, again, that continuum of care and get them to the best outcomes. So it is a big educational piece to let folks know that you can stay here, you don't have to travel, and if there is a resource, you can contact Phyllis, our navigator, and we can help find it. And if it's not in this area, making sure that we're getting patients connected to those resources.
Wow. So what Brittany does, what Suzanne does, it's kind of like what we do in radio. I mean, you guys get the word out, right? And then we go to Phyllis.
Yes.
And Phyllis then funnels us into you, right?
Absolutely.
Is that how it works? And then you take us to the doctors?
Helping to get them through that care. So if it's connecting them to a specific physician or working alongside their physician to make sure that they're getting to the next step and timely, that's a big thing.
Has the technology made it so that we as patients find ourselves almost like going to a car mechanic where, there used to be one guy who could fix a whole car. And now we got one guy who can fix the brakes, one guy who can fix, the ignition, and, that might be an exaggeration. But I mean, is it that way with cancer where if you've got one type of cancer, you need one area and another? Am I making sense with the question?
Well, yeah, because cancer, every discipline is very specialized. Cancer is specialized as well. I mean, you have physicians that only do breast or only do colon cancer or only do lung cancer. I think what you'll find in this community, being more of a rural community, a smaller community than some of the bigger centers, is that our physicians are trained in all of the cancers. So there might be somebody in a practice that may do one other than the other, but we identify that and then get them to whoever may specialize in that disease process.
And attitude is extremely important, because you ladies are the first people that the cancer patients and their family see, and you need to be able to welcome them like you've known them forever in order to alleviate their fears and have them move on to the next step.
Correct.
Do you see people out in public that you've worked with, like maybe sometime later, a couple of years later, and I'm guessing you become a permanent part of their life? And it's like the guy who wins the lottery. He knows the person who handed him the check, I guess. I don't know.
Absolutely. This community is so well connected, and they rally around patients that are diagnosed, young and old alike, and it's really a tremendous effort from this entire community and our cancer program to be able to make sure that, when we identify those patients, we do build that relationship with them, because that is a key to their wellness and making sure that they know they're not fighting this alone.
Is an area more of a challenge than another area? That's a very broad question, but I wanted to ask it that way to see if it stirs anything. Is like when you do your daily job, is it harder to work maybe with children than adults? Is it harder to work with certain types of cancer than others?
I don't find that
Maybe it's
to
an
be
emotional
true.
question. No?
No, not really.
No.
I mean, children are wonderful to work with, too. We don't have a big, strong pediatric oncology presence here. It's the parents that tend to be more stressed than the children are, because the children have a wonderful
Well,
attitude.
and I'm guessing the whole family is, regardless of the age of the patient.
It impacts everybody.
My mom was in her 70s when she, right?
Yes.
Yeah, when she was diagnosed, and she mid 80s when she died. So, but she really didn't die from that, and she had another type of cancer that developed in her pancreas, I think. But the point is that the procedure she went through gave her an extra 20 years, just about. I'm probably giving you the wrong ages, but because if you did the math, it didn't make sense just now. But but she did. I mean, she literally did. I remember, and it was kind of a sad moment there, but still happy. She went into surgery not knowing if she had cancer back then, and was told, if you do, you'll wake up without a breast. And my dad was there, I was there, and when she woke up, she said, well, what is it? He said, you had it, you lost a breast. And it was kind of very emotional right there at that moment, but guess what? She lived. You know, and was a vibrant lady. She always had a good attitude. Robin is the one who points out attitude, because Robin's the queen of attitude.
No, your mom was a very special lady. I miss her.
It is funny when you mention attitude, because in every patient that I teach or encounter, I tell them that fighting the disease, 95% of it is attitude on how you approach it.
So help me understand what it's like at the oncology center. Are the patients in one room all together, being treated together, or are they all in separate rooms like a dentist does?
Well, we have a we have a designated inpatient unit, and so when a patient is admitted to the hospital, our third
Right.
floor, we've got 18 designated beds, and also a very large, well-stocked resource room. And they have their individual rooms down the hall, and we're also staffed by oncology certified nurses. And that's a big deal. And what that means to a patient and their families is that those patients are receiving that extra high level of care. Those nurses have gone above and beyond to receive and achieve a new accreditation for themselves to be able to make sure that they're personalizing their experience and really keying in on their chemotherapy or their oncology needs. And then we also have, in addition to that, our outpatient infusion center. So if patients aren't inpatient into the hospital, they're able to access that center to be able to receive their services as well.
So Phyllis, you first meet a patient where? Where would be the first place you would meet them?
I can meet them in the emergency room when they come in. I can meet them, they are throughout the hospital. So usually they come in as an inpatient.
Emergency room. So I never thought of an emergency room for cancer. So they come in for something else, maybe?
Well, it's funny, because most of the patients that find cancer come in because they fell off a ladder and they happen to do a chest x-ray, and the chest x-ray shows a spot on the lung.
Oh, no.
But I've always said it's funny how
I
patients...
bet you they curse that ladder.
Yeah.
They blame the ladder.
We're thankful
They should
for
thank
it.
the
Yes,
ladder,
thankful
yeah,
for the
because
ladder.
it's something that brings that patient in there, and then usually it's an other finding. I mean, a lot of the patients that come in already have cancer and, of course, had their treatment, so they have to come back when they're sick enough, and we have
Okay.
to do symptom management for them. So I can meet them from the onset coming in, but most of the time I meet them on the inpatient floor when their test has come back or their biopsy has come back, or even before. I'll make an introductory visit to let them know that I'm there, and just tell them something as simple as what a biopsy is and what it entails, or, how they're going to go in and do this liver biopsy, or whatever.
Okay, so let me be that guy. I fell off the ladder. You're at my side. You're telling me, sorry about the ladder thing, but you got a spot, right?
Well, the doctor would tell you that.
Oh, and then he calls you, and then you come in?
Sometimes, or if I know, it just depends. Like if they just need, that's for more of an emotional visit than it is anything else, because until you absolutely go through the process and get a biopsy, you're not going to be able to say yes or no whether
I want to ask you about that, and this is just because I'm a lay person and don't know. I've heard that a biopsy can actually cause a problem. It'll help spread it. What is a biopsy, actually?
That's a myth.
Okay.
That's a myth.
I wanted you to say
A
that.
lot of people think too that people that get surgery and once you open up somebody and then it spreads.
Right.
When you hear of an open and closed case, it's because the cancer has already spread everywhere and it's just too large to take out. But opening somebody or doing a biopsy does not spread cancer.
And that's what happened to Ronnie. He went to his general practitioner, thought he had pneumonia. He came out with lung cancer. And you guys were just absolutely wonderful. He did end up losing his left lung, but he's been cancer-free now for 3 years.
Did you tell him who Ronnie
You guys are wonderful.
Do they know who Ronnie is?
Oh, he's my husband. So you guys are absolutely wonderful, because the first time that the doctor told him that, it was very emotional for him. He didn't want me to be there. And then after that, he went in to see all the different people, and you guys are just incredible.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that feedback.
I thought I was witnessing a little bit of female mental telepathy right there.
Oh, okay.
Just using her first name, I'm thinking, do they know Ronnie? But he's doing amazing. You know, we just had in the studio earlier the veteran show. And when we just moved here, I guess you know that, and so we're not done moving. So last Saturday, we were actually physically lifting the heavy stuff to come over here. One of the veterans is among the guys helping. And all of a sudden he says, you know, I'm doing this with one lung. I said, you got to be kidding. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? So
In the heat, yeah.
yeah. So so the questions are, I guess, if I put myself in their shoes, so what next? I mean, is there a way to tell what's next at that point?
Well, you have to go through the process. I mean, usually if you find something like that, then you've got to go through the process scans first.
Right.
And then if they see something there, then you get a biopsy. And then you usually have, which is the kind of torture time I call it, but it's 2 full days before you find out what that biopsy said. And some patients that are well enough can go home and find out the following week in the doctor's office, and
Right,
some
right.
find out right there, and we start their treatment right then. Just depends.
Wow. Let me just reintroduce our guests to everybody. Brittany Marthaler at the very end there, and she's the community manager of Ocala Health. Phyllis Albertson, a nurse for oncology and oncology navigator for Ocala Regional and West Marion. So you're back and forth between the two buildings, right?
Yes.
Haley Creasy?
Yeah.
Am I saying all of your names right, by
Yes.
the way? And you are the Oncology and General Surgery Service Line Director. That's it. That sounds pretty close to the actual patient, doesn't it? Well, you all are, really. You're all real close, aren't you? And Suzanne Santangelo? Santangelo, Director of Marketing. Why do you have to market oncology?
I think it's more of an education process.
I would think. It's not the same marketing as happening here at the mall.
No, I mean, it's not as if you're only going to come to us for your cancer care if you're diagnosed. It's not as if it's something that you seek us out for, unless you have the condition. So I think it's a matter of just keeping the community informed of the wide range of services that we do have for oncology patients. And we also help, Brittany is out in the community and with talks and seminars and that type of thing, but we also support the services with educational pieces. I mean, we develop them in-house
Right.
help with Phyllis and Haley. And then there's another gal, a genetic counselor, that helps us. We support her, too, with her materials. So.
And the communication is definitely the key, because people get lost. If they all of a sudden have a diagnosis, they're going to go blank. They don't know where to go, who to turn to. And if your name isn't out there in the forefront, they won't know who can give them help.
And the easy part is that, there's one person and one phone number. Phyllis, you call Phyllis, and she'll take it from there.
Yeah, that does make it easy.
And that makes a very
And
big
it's also
difference.
comforting to know that it goes beyond that one person. So it's like having an entrance. We know where the door is,
Right.
right? You lead us to the door, right? That's what Brittany leads us to the door. Phyllis is the door, and then you take it from there, Haley, don't you?
Rolls over to the program and the
Does-
dynamic team.
Does it help or hinder in your personal lives? You're so close to it. You know the disease so well. Somebody in your family or a close friend has cancer. Does it help you? Are you able to help them better, or does it actually make it scarier for you?
Doesn't make it scarier.
Not at all. So, and I'm not trying to get personal here, but I guess in my case, and probably Robin would say this with her and her husband, the more I knew, the better I felt about it. So education really does help.
You're more equipped.
Otherwise, you just hear the word cancer, and all you can think of is that zodiac thing.
Yeah, right?
Just kidding.
Well, when you also go to the families themselves, you must have a different approach when you speak to the spouse and when you speak to the children to make them understand.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of wonderful support groups in this community that are offered to help with children and adults alike. So it's a great community network, and they've actually developed from one of the not-for-profits hugs here in the community, a Cancer Alliance, which is a not-for-profit organization and a group of people that are really key ambassadors for their organizations to come together and talk about gaps in services and identify them, and also challenges, and find ways to circumvent those, to making sure that patients in this community can get access and very timely.
And being with the Royal Dames, that also helps with the fundraising aspect of it and the
Absolutely.
research.
Yeah, Royal Dames has done a wonderful job. We actually, Ocala Regional West Marion, our Ocala Health System, partners with the College of Central Florida as well as the Royal Dames to put on Shop Talk, which is a great group. Approximately about 300 women attend a quarterly dinner or luncheon, and they get a little in-service on some new treatments, new psychosocial pieces, ways to cope, a lot of educational components. So it's a wonderful partnership that the three of us have.
The one person who turned up the radio when he or she found out you were going to be on the radio is the person who just found out that somebody they love has cancer, or maybe that they do. They're the one who sat in their car this whole interview so they wouldn't miss a word. Probably with a pen or a recorder or something to record a phone number and a website. So I want to make sure, because I'm not doing my job if we don't get that out there. But I also want to tell you this. You know, Robin, I went to the dollar store one day and I got some liverwurst. Don't ever do this.
Don't worry.
Because she got really sick. Her husband called me up the next morning. He said, Robin's not coming in. Something's really wrong. We're taking her to the hospital. I said, you got to be kidding. I just saw her yesterday. Well, that was the day I bought the dollar liverwurst.
See?
Don't buy it. Okay.
No.
So anyway, I went to see Robin, and there's this beautiful
In West
little
Marion.
Yeah, it's beautiful little gift shop, right? Is it called Lori's?
Lori's.
Lori's gift shop, and we've got something for our listeners about that comes from Lori's, right?
Yes.
So that's how I led into Lori's,
You're very good.
because I forgot. You know, you walk in, you say, "What the heck happened?" And then it turns out, the doctor says it had something to do with that dollar liverwurst you bought. But, all right. So on the serious note, what do we want to leave the listeners with? A phone number, a website, or both?
Absolutely. I think if you have questions, you have concerns, you have just received a diagnosis, your family member needs assistance, contact our nurse navigator. Phyllis is readily available, and her number is 401-1534, or you can look at our services on our website at Ocala Health
System.com.
System.com.
Ocala Health System without the S at the end?
Right.
That's
Ocala
right.
Health System.
We also have a vanity URL. If you go to ocalahealthsystem.com/cancercare, you'll be taken right to the cancer services page.
Okay. And what do you call it, a vanity?
A vanity URL. Instead of having /127J,
Oh, okay.
you can have
Oh, a
one that
prettier
actually
name. That's what the
says-
word vanity means.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what
Okay, I
it
guess.
means.
Yeah.
Okay,
Easier
yeah.
to remember.
Yeah.
Easier
Yeah,
to remember.
I know. Well, somebody in their car right now, they're not going to write down all those dashes.
No.
Okay, so I got it. Okay. All right, so you told me before we went on the air that we were going to ask a question, and we kind of let the listeners know twice what the answer was earlier in the interview, and it gives you a gift certificate. It'll give the winner a gift certificate for Lori's Gifts at the gift shop.
Correct.
So, what's the gift card worth? Let me ask that.
I think $10.
$10. Mm-hmm. Now, that was a disclaimer. She said, I think.
No, it is $10.
It could be $1.
I know.
No, it's $10.
It's a $10 gift certificate. Okay, so we need somebody to call in the radio station right now and answer the question, what year was, is it Ocala Oncology? What do we call it?
Ocala Regional Medical Centers, COCs, who are Community of Cancer organization. What was the year that we started?
What was the year they started? And I mentioned it earlier.
Yes, you did.
And I gave a little hint. So
Yep.
the phone number to call to answer the question is WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline 622-9622. And this is my fourth day answering the phone with a computer mouse. So, Up until this point, it was always a switch, a button,
Yeah.
just a hello.
He has been doing this since
So hope-
1984.
Yeah, but this is new. So this computer right here is the one that
right.
I'm looking at to see when it rings. What we'll probably do is end up taking that call off the air. If you want the $10 gift certificate, give us a call. Tell us when Ocala Regional Oncology. What?
Our comprehensive cancer program started.
All right.
What
When
year?
did the cancer program start? All right. It was 19 something. I'll tell you that.
Yes.
19. It's a multiple choice. You got between 01 and 99.
There you go. Got a few decades.
And she said it's 30 years this year, so that helps.
Ah,
there
that
you
helps.
go.
That helps a lot. All right, everybody want to try this one? That's $10. Come on, hang it in there like a carrot on a stick. All right,
looking at the
we'll
screen.
take the answer. It could be ringing. I might not be seeing it the right way. I don't know. I'm new at this. I've been doing it a long time, but I'm new at this screen here. Ladies, thank you for what you do. I really think that the team that you represent has helped me. I know you've helped me personally. I know you've helped Robin and her husband and countless other people. And so thank you for what you've dedicated your lives to. That's awesome. And thank you for taking time to come in here and talk about it. That's
This
pretty
is fun. This is a
Thank you
great.
for having us.
Thank you for having us.
All of you ladies sparkle, and you all really give something special to the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
There you
Thanks
go.
for having us.
Appreciate that.
We will take a little break and we'll be right back.
You're listening to WOCA News Talk 1370, Ocala's source for what's happening in today's hottest, up-to-date news and topics.
How good does it get?
Golf has long been considered to be sport's most prestigious game, and WOCA